Mr. Hoffa, welcome to the program.
It's great to be on the program right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Are you in Wisconsin right now?
Right now, I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. This is ground zero in the war on workers. And we just had a tremendous rally, thousands of people, all different unions, and, of course, the people that are most important, the public employees of Wisconsin, were here at the state capitol. That's where I'm at right now. And I'm telling you, it was the most wonderful rally because it showed that people are together, people are standing up, and they're fighting back, and they're not going to lose their collective bargaining rights. It was unbelievably impressive. It
took, 17 days to get Mr. Mubarak out of office. Is there any sense? I mean, particularly today, I don't know if you heard the tapes of Scott Walker talking to a man he thought was David Koch. And
I did hear that. I heard part of that, and it just shows you how this thing is not just happening here. This is not a circumstance. We have right to work introduced in 13 states almost simultaneously. There's 34 anti-labor bills introduced in Michigan, and the same thing in Indiana, and the same thing in Ohio. Does anybody think that's a coincidence? And what it is the right wing, through these elected officials that they have, these Tea Party people, are basically out to knock organized labor out once and for all. This is the knockout punch.
Yeah.
And we're going to make sure it doesn't happen by having rallies here. I'm going to go on to Indiana. I'm going to go on to Ohio. And all of labor is supporting the public employees. We always say that, sure, they start with the public employees, and the next is right to work and get rid of unions altogether. And that's what the plan is. They tried to divide the labor, but, we have a saying in labor that an injury to one is an injury to all. And we're making sure that we stand tall with our brothers here, and it's been a great rally.
We're talking with James Hoffa, the General President of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Teamster.org is the website, of course. And Mr. Hoffa, back in 47, when Taft-Hartley was passed, that was arguably the first major Republican assault on organized labor. Harry Truman vetoed it. They overrode his veto, and that opened the door for these so-called right-to-work states. And, I've been on for years on this program. I grew up in a union household in Lansing, Michigan. My dad worked in a tool and die shop. And for years, I've been calling for repeal of Taft-Hartley. I think most people don't even remember what it is, but there has been this steady deterioration ever since Taft-Hartley. I think because of Taft-Hartley, do you think it's possible that this could be the moment when enough Americans come to realize what labor is, what it means, what the stakes are, that we could have some kind of a really genuine change in America that could even conceivably lead to rolling back Taft-Hartley?
Well, I think what happened today and the overreach by the Republicans is something that is uniting labor, igniting excitement in working people. You mentioned that poll in USA Today. 61% believe people should have collective bargaining. This could be, they have overreached so far that this could be what we need to get this battle going again. What we've got to do is to start getting people excited again. We've got to take back a lot of these seats back in 12, and we've got to keep this fight going. And then when you get the elected officials, you get congressmen, you get senators, then you can start repealing. But we got to do the hard work first. We got to get our officials back in there. We got to get progressive officials in office before you're going to repeal Taft-Hartley.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work
Very
to
well
do.
said.
But we've got to get back, to the ground roots, and we got to elect people that believe in what we believe in. And, it comes down to congressmen, it comes down to senators, it comes down to a president, and that's how we're going to change this law and get this country back to where it belongs.
Well, and ultimately it comes down to the individuals listening to this program or watching this program right now getting involved, showing up at the local Democratic Party, saying, how can I help, getting involved with the grassroots movements, checking in with the local labor organization and saying, is there anything I can do? Isn't this a perfect moment for, at least in the Senate, where the Democrats still control the agenda, for the Employee Free Choice Act to be rolled out?
Well, yeah, it is an ideal time, but we have lost 6 senators, and we tried in the first 2 years to get the Employee Free Choice Act. passed. That would have been unbelievably for organizing, and you would have seen the numbers in our ranks grow, from 12% to 15% to 20%.
Yeah.
It was the ideal time. But for one reason or another, we never got it done, and now we've lost 6 senators, and now because of the use of the filibuster by the Republicans, we aren't going to get it done until we basically change the composition of the House and Senate again to get people in that believe. But I think what you talked about is real. This is the time, and you saw it when Obama ran. You saw people getting excited about it. You saw people that weren't involved in politics who went out and voted for the first time.
Yep.
You saw people really get excited about a candidate, go out and register to vote, young people, African-American people, everybody got excited about a candidate. And we need to get that excitement going again if we're going to get this country back to where it belongs. Everybody knows right now there is such a disparity between the rich and the poor. It's getting worse. That's the worst thing we can have for the great nation that we have.
Yeah, and
you keep getting more rich people and people keep on being pushed down like they're trying to do here in Wisconsin, then you're going to have a revolution. We cannot have that. We want to keep this country together, and we want to do it the right way.
And it seems like the main thing that the Republicans have to offer is a race to the bottom.
Well, all they talk about is cut, cut, cut. And when you say, well, isn't this equality of sacrifice? Shouldn't the rich be paying more? Shouldn't those corporations that are sitting on, $2 trillion, shouldn't they be paying more? And, the countries where the people, the CEOs get $68 million. A guy can work all of his life. 100 people can work all their life and not make $64 million. But one guy gets that kind of money. Right. How can that be justified in our country? Is he working harder than the guy that goes to work every day, that has to get up in the dark and go punch a clock and work for 12, 14 hours a day? Is he working harder? Is he really worth, these CEOs that are making $100 million with their bonuses? And that's the outrage that I see, and that we're losing the idea of equality in this country, that this is a democracy, and that's the basis of our whole country, and we're starting to lose that.
Yeah, and not just that, but that what comes out of that, if you look at that era from the 40s through the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s until Reagan began dismantling organized labor and dropping top tax rates and things, what came out of that was incredible stability. It was the first time in the history of the United States we went 30 years, more than 15 years, without a major bank failure, for example, or a major stock market crash. I mean, it was 40 years of stability and 40 years of a solid middle class, and then Ronald Reagan took it apart. And we're talking with James Hoffa, the General President of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. How do we put it back together, sir?
That's a big job, and we got to start with getting people, the people that are listening to this program, the people that are at this rally in Madison, Wisconsin, get people to get involved. It all begins with, the State House, the State Senate. It begins with the House of Representatives, sending people that believe in having equality, having fairness. That's what it's all about. And we lost, we had a disaster in November because we lost a number of governors. We lost 6 senators. We lost complete control. We lost like 60 congressmen in the United States House, and now it's all Republicans. That was a disaster for us because it's going to set back the progressive movement. It's going to set back working families and the idea of having a strong middle class, because the people that won don't believe in a middle class. They believe in the rich people having more, and then you can see it here. What's the debate? What debate are they trying to get in the country right now? Oh, the teachers should give up.
Right.
Oh, some guy driving a garbage truck should give up. Some nurse should give up. But they don't want to mention the rich people. They don't want to mention the big corporations. They don't want to mention the people, these people I was talking about, the CEOs making $50, $100 million a year and living in the gated communities and flying around their private jets. They don't want to talk about them giving more. Yeah. I thought we were all in this together, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
It's time for us to get together and put this country back to where it should be.
Very, very well said. And there is a lot of wealth in this country. And it doesn't mean that we have to all become Marxist or something crazy like that. I mean, I think we're talking about going back to Dwight Eisenhower's time, right? I mean, it worked.
Those were good years.
They were. I'm old enough to remember them. James P. Hoffa, Teamster.org, the General President of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Sir, it's an honor to have you on the program. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me on.
Keep up the great work, sir.